Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you and welcome back to the channel, where today you join me in Wales to go for a pre-drive in the BMW 8 Series. This is an M850i. BMW are here doing their final testing and development work with the car, but today I'm going to get an opportunity to experience it, drive it, and see what it's like. So let's take a look at the new 8 Series. To kick things off, let's go for a quick walk around to talk about the 8 Series and how it fits into BMW's lineup before very shortly jumping in and going out for a drive. BMW have brought the 8 Series here to Snowdonia in Wales as part of the final testing and development work to get them ready for the unveil later on this year. We're surrounded by some beautiful scenery and, more importantly, some amazing roads on which to take this car out to drive properly. So of course, given it's still in testing, it is covered in camouflage from head to toe, the exterior and interior, but we can talk a little bit about it before discussing more what the dynamic side of things is like when we're driving it. This particular car is the M850i xDrive. xDrive being BMW's four-wheel drive system, so perfect for today's weather conditions, which are changing so fast you wouldn't believe it. From the cold wind we have right now to rain to sunshine to just about everything. Now let's talk a little bit about how the 8 Series fits into the lineup. I think a lot of people initially might be wrongly thinking that the 8 Series is effectively a coupe version of the 7. That is not the case. It is a new segment, a new vehicle, a new position in the market for BMW, and the word they're using a lot to refer to this car is a sports car. It's been testing on racetracks on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and I'm going to discover a little bit shortly what exactly that means. The M850i has the 4.4 litre twin turbocharged V8. It makes 530 horsepower, 750 newton meters of torque. That is a huge number, and you get all of it from 1,800 RPM. That should mean fairly effortless power. Today we're going to discover a bit more about the different driving modes, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and see the work that they've gone into developing for the suspension side of this thing. Looks wise, it looks sleek from what I can see, but there's a lot of design work we're yet to discover when those liveries are removed. So let us jump in right now. I'm going to be joined by Tomo Yoshihara from BMW's Dynamic Driving Department to talk a bit more about this as we go out and learn. We're inside the car then. I'm joined by Tomo. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm very good. Today's weather has been absolutely crazy, as we've been experiencing, but here we are.
Yeah.
In your baby almost, the new 8 Series.
It is, and finally the sun came out, so I would say
perfect time to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So we are starting off in comfort mode, and obviously, well, from my understanding, a big part of you being here is to fine-tune and hone in the final parts of configuration of setting up the dampers and the suspension.
Exactly.
But that can't be all of it. I mean, it's been a long process, right? I think you were testing recently on the Nürburgring?
Yeah, just recently, last week actually, we have been on the Nürburgring Nordschleife testing this car, fine-tuning our damper setup, steering, and also active roller stabilization system.
For sure.
And but on the other hand, roads like this, where we have to check if our application made on the Nürburgring for sport mode, for example, still works very good on a normal public road. That's the test we are facing today. For
sure, and this is about the biggest test you can give it, because the roads are undulating like crazy. They're ridden with potholes and weird movements and bends and leaning out and all sorts of strange surfaces, I suppose. Now, just driving right at the moment in comfort mode, obviously one of the first things you notice is that even though it's comfort mode, it still doesn't have huge amounts of roll or wallowing or anything like that. It feels quite pinpoint for this mode. I mean, the gearbox is smooth, it's very, very quiet and relaxed.
Yeah. So this should be the mode where you have your everyday driving without any problem, but still, on the other hand, I wouldn't say it's a ordinary comfort mode, but more or less a sporty mode.
It feels like a sportier comfort mode.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the key point on this one here, because the car should be already in comfort mode, really sporty from the point away.
So I think that's going to take me on to one of the next big questions, which is the use of the term sports car.
Yeah.
Everything to do with this car you're defining as a sports car, which isn't what people would necessarily think, but what is that? How's that I guess, influence the development of the car?
That is the main goal. From the beginning on, everything we did was with this purpose, building a proper sports car, newly from the ground. This car has no predecessor.
Yeah, indeed.
It's completely new.
It's a significant number, though.
Yeah. What does the number 8 remind you of?
Everything. The i8, the Z8, the 8 Series.
Exactly.
A lot of history there.
Exactly. And just if you think back at the 8 Series of the 80s, it had a wonderful design, a great engine, great handling, great performance.
No pressure then.
Yeah, but we brought all these things together here into this car and packed it well. And I don't know, how's the feeling in the car?
I mean, comfort mode, effortlessly flowing along, but I would like to put it up into sport, which is tucked away in here somewhere. I might need your help just to press the right button underneath the camo.
Yeah.
The sport mode, there we go. So into sport. Now you have a number of different sport modes. I notice obviously standard, plus, and the individual configuration. I've just popped the gearbox into the sportier setting as well, but you can really define the car for a user, I think, more than we've seen before. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So this sport mode has been tuned on racetracks, as you previously said already. But the main focus here is also that this mode works seamlessly everywhere where you drive. So it shouldn't be floating around on the streets. It should be really tucked to the road, and you should feel how the road moves under you. But on the other hand, what our main goal is here is that the tire never gets losing contact to the road surface, because then you have always a perfect contact pitch between tire and the road surface, and you have the optimum traction wherever you go.
And you know what, while we're driving along, I love the gearbox. It knows exactly what gear I want to be in. I haven't gone into manual on the paddles at all because it's so predictive.
Yeah, and exactly this has been done on those racetracks where we try to find out how much brake pressure should result in how much of a downshifting, and which kind of RPM do you want to have this downshifting. So this comes really nicely together with the rest of the driving dynamics, and to make this car really, really nice to drive with an ease, which is not known from any other car.
With an ease is exactly what I was going to refer to. I think the video wouldn't necessarily show the rate at which we're progressing down this road because it goes about it in such a gentle and easy way.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the speed picks up, it's plentiful, even in this car for sure. The way it rides, for what is, I guess, a fairly large and sizable vehicle, it feels quite sports car-esque, exactly as you're talking about. And I can see how it's developed into that. I mean, if we go back the other way and pop it into comfort, I think, if I'm right, so there's Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus.
Exactly. We have these 4 different modes, but from the chassis setup, we only differentiate between 2 modes, actually. And in these 2 modes, I would say the difference is pretty big, isn't it?
For sure. I mean, one thing that's surprising me right now is comfort mode is actually genuinely quite sporty.
Yeah.
The car is not suffering on a sporty element, and we're on quite a windy road, but equally, when you put it up into Sport Plus, it's not too clattery, it doesn't bang around. It stiffens, but not to an extreme. I mean, perhaps I'm more used to supercars or 2-seater cars, where if you put them into their hardest mode, which you feel similarly in terms of the dynamics, they would also be pretty unpleasant on a road like this, with this kind of tarmac.
We concentrated in this case, especially that your spine shouldn't be tortured all the time wherever you're going, even not in the sport mode, because that is not a sign of sportiness, to have a lack of comfort. We try to have a lot of road comfort on this car, much you can have, but on the same time you have so much amount of road hook, I would say. You always know what the road is doing under you and under your car,
for sure.
And the tires are working each for its own its way on this uneven pavement, and trying to always keep the perfect contact pitch.
Sure. Today is actually quite interesting conditions because we go through these massive puddles crossing over the road, and that's exactly where the computer systems have to do all all of their work to ensure that they're keeping the car.
But now that you say computer systems, do you have the feeling that this car is kind of put together by computers, super intelligent, thinking about calculating stuff every millisecond, or does it feel more natural?
I would say, but this is maybe influenced because I know that it feels natural, but with the computers, you always get the kind of safety net, don't you? Especially the xDrive system. I felt a lot earlier when we were driving when it was wetter, quite how that will pull the car out of a corner when you're worried things might be going wrong. I heard earlier the suspension is every 2.5 milliseconds recalculating. So it knows, well, what's a human thinking time, like half a second or something. So it's completely on it and aware of what's going on.
So there's no need to put out your calculator and try to calculate the stuff in that time, you know. But then again, all works seamlessly together and in a natural feeling. And that's important in a car like this, which is packed with a lot of electronic stuff, which helps to bring together really nice handling and performance. But it should, enjoying the view and the sound. And
the sound is an interesting one. It makes a big difference to the sound changing between modes as well. The way that's configured. And even though we can't see the buttons, heated seats and all of those switched on, absolutely needed. Today's weather is just crazy.
Oh yeah.
But this is the perfect environment to experience this car and get to know it a little bit more. So certainly I'm looking forward to learning more. Obviously at the moment I'm looking at a dash that we can't necessarily show yet, various other parts of the interior, but it's a very exciting car. I think it goes without saying that the sports car ethos feels like it's been carried into the car that we're driving on the road.
We still got a little bit of work to do with this car, like in environments like this, and in the next few weeks we will be driving around a lot. We will be in Portugal, driving it in Estoril, testing it on the track and so on. And there's still a little way to go, but I think we have brought you a little bit of the idea which we are trying to do with this new kind of sports car. We're really happy to have you here. Evaluate the car for the first time, huh?
Thank you very much. I know that the gearbox does wonderful things, but what I'd like to do is pop it back just into manual, just to hold on to the revs a little bit longer and see if I can do any better for my style of driving than the gearbox can, although I already know the answer to that. The gearbox is predicting and preempting everything. Just the way the speed picks up, it's a very quick car. I think that's actually surprising me quite a lot.
And although it's still a little bit wet, you get
instant traction, no problems. I have not lit up the traction light once today, even in significantly wetter weather than we have right now. Obviously these roads are tiny and tight, so the bumps are going over the cat's eyes in the middle of the lanes. But left-hand drive car in the UK, I've got to get a little bit used to what we're driving and what we're doing. Just the shapes of these roads are magnificent. It sounds good.
We're talking about a luxury sports car. That means you have a lot of luxury equipment on the car. So you already mentioned this car is not the lightest, but it feels very light.
Feels light.
It turns in wherever you turn the steering wheel. It never understeers. You have so much traction. It doesn't roll. So it feels nimble, and it's pretty precise driving through these canyon roads here, isn't it?
For sure, and I mean there are a couple of interesting things actually. If you think about BMWs of old, here we have a car with variable steering, we have a car with twin turbocharged engine, we have a car with four-wheel drive. These aren't necessarily traditional BMW characteristics, but in this car, nobody could drive this and say it wasn't a fun car to be driving.
And most importantly, it's not just fun to drive, but I think you feel that BMW DNA in this car, don't you?
For sure. Can I just tell you one thing I don't like?
The
indicator sound. Small detail.
I think I got the hope this will change in the production car.
We'll see. But no, back to the BMW DNA. Definitely.
Exactly.
I feel like it would happily let me chuck it around quite aggressively and be quite playful. But even there, foot flat coming out of the corner, it still holds traction on a slightly greasy road.
So there comes a convoy to overtake, huh?
We have a line of cars in front of us. Pulling away then. Whew. Definitely quick enough.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, over the dip. But it held good contact there.
Yeah. That's the main goal. Never lose the contact patch to the road.
Well, there we have it. What an interesting afternoon this has been, getting to know and experience the new BMW 8 Series. A big thanks to Tomo for joining me for the drive, but the car will of course now be packed away. It is a car that is undergoing its final development work, so akin to the others that are lined up here, it will be hidden away for now. I, for one, am certainly looking forward to what this is going to be like when all of the covers are fully removed. It's a car that, as described, is very much a sports car. It's completely different to, say, a 7 Series. It is a car that is very dynamic at one end of the spectrum, very comfortable at the other, and something that I could see really being a car that fulfills every purpose. Comfort mode is already quite a sporty drive, it has to be said for sure, but it is a car that certainly on those roads was enjoyable to drive. In the future, as well as the 8 Series Coupe, I think we can expect to see other variants arriving. We've seen the concept for the Grand Coupe, the 4-door version, and down the line there will be an M8 as well, so very much looking forward to seeing what that is like. Anyway, make sure you stay tuned, because at some point in the future, hopefully I'll get an opportunity to drive the fully revealed car and be able to show you some more about the interior as well. Anyway, that is it for now. Thank you very much as always for watching, guys. I appreciate your support. Thank you also to BMW for the opportunity to come down today and drive the car and share this with you, and also of course to Tomo. So that's it for this time. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.